Hey fam, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I am Wongel Zelalem. Today we're talking about Jerry Rawlings, the former president of Ghana, warning us about the mainstream media from the West. This is the first time I watched this. I've never watched this, and apparently he gave this interview a long time ago, and thanks to Tunacheki YouTube channel, I was introduced to this speech. And when I tell you everything he said was spot on, it was just spot on. Let me just show you a snippet from Tunachike's channel. We'll come back and I want to talk about it.
Let me just say something. I have a little theory that the world is manipulated. I may be wrong, but the world is manipulated by the multinational corporations, the media, some parts of the media, and the intelligence apparatus. They work as a triumvirate, and they are neatly sandwiched like the ham, like your tomato, whatever it is. They're neatly sandwiched in between the governed people, you, the governed ordinary people, and the governors. That is where the manipulation takes place. And there is a symbiotic relationship between the triumvirate and sometimes at this level. And if we do not make every possible attempt to return morality, when we're talking about the immorality of international politics, the immorality in business ethics is also percolating downwards, and the criminal, corrupt thing that goes on in my world is bad. So the sooner we begin to return, to restore some sense of morality in business ethics, in politics, in the media, intelligence apparatus, with beliefs, conviction that this is wrong, etc. After all, if you're talking about globalization, then please, let the same value, what is good for the goose, let it be good for the gander. You know, what you want for yourself, I think is something you should want for your fellow man. If we truly want to enjoy peace and stability under a so-called unipolar world, then we have to wake up to our responsibility. You listen to me. We end up with injustice. We end up with corruption. We end up with poverty. We end up with the worst possible things. We end up with the image. I don't have to tell you the image that you have in Africa. I don't have to tell you. We've always believed in and we know the value of democracy. Long before, we were colonized, and even after we were colonized. However, the world is going through changes, etc. We've been through the pain of colonialism, and today we're going through colonialism, neo-colonialism. In the sense that what I'm trying to say is that there was a time when we saw the white man, our colonial powers, as our enemies. But I think, no, not that I think, something that is worse than an enemy is a traitor. Yes. And when we won our freedom, some of our countries were led by some of the most noble nationalists, of our time. But at the same time, with the passage of time, some of them became treacherous and rather betrayed our aspirations. In effect, what I'm trying to say is that as bad as an enemy can be, I think something worse than an enemy is a traitor. We've ended up evolving in the process of trying to modernize. We've ended up being westernized. The late Pope John Paul contributed his quota towards the collapse of the Eastern Bloc. With the growing unipolar world, some of us were thinking, is it going to be better or is it going to be worse? The Western powers talk about democracy, Christian values, etc., etc., etc. Some of us were hoping that The world, well, let us hope it's going to be better. Do you know what your own Pope John Paul said before he died in a meeting with President Gorbachev? He described the new situation as the savagery of capitalism. The savagery of capitalism. This is a serious indictment. It's a serious indictment of us. We're beginning to sow the seed of instability. My brother, let us wake up.
He was telling us what went on behind the scenes, but I'm pretty sure not a lot of people noticed or focused on what he was saying, internalized it, and really tried to take it in. I mean, even me, if I watched it 4-5 years ago, it would have not hit the same way it is hitting right now because of all the things that Ethiopia is going through and what we're seeing when it comes to the Western world, mainstream media, and how they use it as a weapon. So watching this, it just makes me appreciate this guy, rest in peace. He died last year in November, and so condolences. But this leader knew exactly how they wrote, and he knew what they're about. It makes me wonder how he ran Ghana having this knowledge. I don't know if many African leaders have that knowledge, but I suspect they do, because I know we say they're corrupt and we're annoyed on how they handle things, but at the same time, some of them act dumb on purpose because they are playing a role of being a puppet to their puppeteer. But some of them that stand up and say no, what happens to them? There's a coup all of a sudden in that country. There's a conflict and civil war. So we've seen that already. So I do believe most of them know, if not all of them. But what can we do about it? Having this knowledge, learning this key information about what goes on around the world. Like, I'm invested right now more than ever because of what is going on in my country. But how can we use this now? Most Ethiopians are waking up, right? So if we are waking up, how can we wake up the rest? Not everyone is asleep. I'm not saying that, don't take my word out of context, but the ones that have yet to understand what is going on behind the scenes. How do we make sure that everybody has this awareness and we stop going to these news outlets to see what is going on in this world, because they are not giving us the actual truth. If they're giving us the truth, it's just one portion or one side. So I think this is something worth talking about deeply, and it's something that we need to start working towards, as in getting starting our own channels. For example, our platforms are something that we can use to impact the world, our people. But not only that, us individually, if we have this wisdom, we can transmit it, we can share it with our brothers, sisters, cousins, nieces, nephews, husbands, kids, wives. Like, we can do that. So I think now we have to focus on how do we change the narrative going forward and educate our people to not lean on mainstream media platforms and outlets. We need to say no to their narrative and create our own narrative. And I understand there are many people right now rising up from the motherland trying to change the narrative, and we appreciate them and love them and support them. And we also need to be advocates for our own people. That's all I'm saying. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.